my theme of this talk is the theme of our day, is the theme of the conference, and possibly, maybe it's a bit presumptuous to say this, but the theme of maybe the year or two, or the period that we're moving into for our sector. How do we embrace a circular future? Everything I'm going to say really is covered in a report that we published yesterday by that same topic. And thank you to all our members who provided information for this report, case studies, or just the stats of what their sector have done. And I'm just going to take a whirlwind tour through this report. We're really encouraged that even in these challenging times, we have a growing membership. The numbers are a bit small on the screen, but back in March 2019, we had 115 members, and that has grown to 180 today. In fact, the number we quoted in the impact report, 169, is already out of date, and that 11 new organisations have joined us since we did the survey. That growing membership, to me, speaks of growing engagement in all matters relating to the circular economy and the community response to climate change, which is a really encouraging trend. And this is some of the work that you're doing. We've just heard from someone about cycling, 20 bike reuse organisations, for example. But this infographic just shows the breadth, the variety of the different work, be it working with food, community fridges, sharing libraries, repair cafes, upcycling projects, and things like furniture reuse and clothing reuse. So many different organisations, some doing more than one of these things. That is what unites us, even though we work in different communities and doing different types of work. It all benefits community and it all benefits the planet. Not time to spotlight 180 organisations. I wish there was. That would be amazing. We're going to hear from a few specific organisations after I finish speaking, and I'm really looking forward to that, to hear what they've got to say. But we showcased, I think, 9 organisations, 9 impact reports, 9 case studies in the impact report, and you can see the images of some of those here. And we talk at CRNS about 4 Ps. It's interesting that Catherine had 4 Ps this morning. They were different Ps, but ours are quite simple. It's caring for the planet, taking care of people, taking care of the pounds, making our enterprises survive and thrive, and working in a local community, in a place. That's the 4 Ps that we often talk about, and we used in our impact report just to show the impact of the work that you are doing. And there's been some encouraging trends over the last year, and some discouraging trends, or some challenging trends, not surprisingly, given the year or the 18 months that we've had. Staff are up by 8%, but volunteers are down by nearly 30%. And I think that puts quite a strain on staff teams. So I just want to acknowledge that. It must have been a challenging year for the organisations that you're running. Turnover has been up. Believe it or not, that's partly because our membership has increased. So I think it's been flat, might be more accurate, and that. But the actual reuse and recycling figures are down in terms of tonnage, which again shouldn't be surprising to us, because it's to do with HWRC sites and indeed high street shops having been closed for significant periods of time. Let's just get beneath the skin of that and just share some actual examples of the work that people are doing. Again, all featured in the impact report, and we'll post a link to that before I finish speaking. Green Hive, really doing well to celebrate their volunteers. It's been a challenging time for volunteers, and there's been some great ways in which they've managed to celebrate the value of volunteering and really care for their people. Shrub Co-op, obviously located in Edinburgh, and just how do you engage with a city centre location, a student population that you work with, to really have a vision for a world without waste, and working in that unique environment. Every environment is unique, of course. Border Bikes and Just Cycle, working together to keep people cycling in the border region, which obviously has benefits for the planet, working in partnership with another organisation. And our own reuse consortium, which is continuing to grow, and that there the focus is on making it possible for local social enterprises to trade on a national procurement framework. Just a sort of a note of interest on this, We want to pay tribute to Leslie Campbell, our Reuse Consortium coordinator for the last 3 years, who's moving on to other things. And we also want to welcome Nicola, who will be joining us. And I do have to be honest, I feel a bit guilty here because Nicola's joining us from a member, so I sort of feel like we've stolen her. She used to work at Shrub Co-op, still does, I think, but Nicola will be joining us in December, and we hope that they find an excellent replacement at Shrub. But we're really excited to see what Nicola will bring to the role of Reuse Consortium coordinator with us. And she is here in the conference today, so do connect with her via chat if you can. It has been a tough year with COVID, and I've touched on some of those trends already, and the poll brings this out that people have found this challenging times. But this was what our survey showed, that confidence has increased since we asked this same question last year. 87% are somewhat or extremely confident about the recovery of their organisation, which I think is encouraging. Some people are still neutral or not confident at all, and I think that's not too surprising when you consider the challenges that organisations have faced on their reserves and on their teams during the last year. But we are pleased that that is down from the year before. The top issues that people are talking about, again, not surprisingly, this is what you've told us. 63% say sustainable finance, supporting staff, and dealing with health and safety implications, and regaining customer confidence. These are the challenges that we all face over the next year, is to get back to hopefully a new normal. To some degree, but to keep the work of our organisations thriving despite the challenges of the pandemic. We have a role to support you and a role to represent you, and this is what you told us in terms of how you thought we were doing at that, in terms of rating our different events and our different communications. I just want to take this opportunity to pay a big thank you to my team, who have just been working flat out during the pandemic in different environments, often from their dining room table, and just continuing to support the sector as best we can, sometimes often without leaving our home. We do hope that we can get back to visiting you and to holding in-person events in due course, but no doubt there will be an element of hybrid working that we take forward from this as one of the learning points from it, that we can do a lot remotely as well. But that's what our role in supporting you, and also acknowledging we have a role in representing the sector. And I take this very seriously. Last night I was at a cross-party group in the Scottish Parliament 2 days ago. I had a meeting with Lorna Snater, the minister that we've just heard from, talking about what we would love to see in the circular economy bill. So we are really active behind the scenes, seeking to represent the sector, and just some of the examples of the different levels of which we do that. And I think it's a real ripe time for us to be speaking into this context, because there is an openness. I think I picked that up even from the minister and what the talk this morning, an openness to hear about ways in which the community circular economy sector can be supported and is part of the solution to the transition that we need to make. So yeah, that's some of the ways that we're representing you, and we'll continue to do that in the coming year as a top priority, particularly as a circular economy bill is on the horizon. We're starting to be a bit bolder. Maybe it's part of our new identity, but we've got some clear policy asks in the impact report, and that's on the penultimate page. When you get your copy, you can turn to that. And here's just some of the examples that we believe will help really turbo boost the move towards a circular economy. And our technical colleagues are going to put a poll up where we list 5 of these policy asks, the 4 on the left, which could be part of a circular economy bill, and the general one on the right in terms of additional funding for the sector. And we ask you to rate them. How important do you think they are? Now, I'll be honest, we think they're all really important, and you can say that. But if you think one of them is less important, please say that too. So we're looking just to gauge the room in terms of, have we got it right? Have we heard you right? That these are things that are important. Things like having a national reuse target, things like banning product destruction, having set aside for reuse at every household waste recycling centre across Scotland, and really building reuse and circular economy into public procurement. And then the 5th one is greater funding, both at the local authority, reuse and repair, and for innovative models. We just included that as one question. So please tell us what you think in that poll, please. And the last question on the poll is about sharing libraries and repair cafes. And the reason we've added this is because of the announcement that the Minister alluded to that we're really excited about. We put in a proposal jointly as in a partnership with Edinburgh Remakery and the Edinburgh Tool Library to set up and run a network for the next 3 years for sharing libraries and repair cafes. So that has been approved and that funding announced, and we're going to be doing that in the new year. So watch this space. We're going to be setting up, we're going to be recruiting someone into a role, a full-time role with ourselves to do this work. But we're also running an event on the 6th of December, again online, and there's an opportunity for you to attend that and start shaping that work and telling us what you think, what direction you think it should go. So I would really encourage you, if you are already running a sharing library or a repair cafe, or it's something you're thinking about, to come along to that event and get registered on that, and we'll put a link in the chat for that too. Can I just end by thanking you so much for all the work that you do. Thank you for your continued membership of Circular Communities Scotland. Thank you for supporting us in this transition to the new identity. And we are really proud to support and represent you and look forward to doing more of that in the year ahead, whatever it may hold. And we will be posting a link into the chat, so please get for the impact report as well. I'd really encourage you to download a copy of that. We haven't printed any copies. It's all digital, all a PDF. But get your copy, have a look through that, see some of the inspiring case studies and trends that we're seeing, and look forward to seeing more of those great great work in the year ahead. Thank you again for all you do.